Hey guys, welcome back to the All Sports Pass. My name's Eli. I'm your host. We got Max here today, um, and we got a good video for y'all today. It's that time of year again. Surprisingly, NFL's like football's about to come back. Got NFL preseason starting this Thursday, and I figured, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's do some thoughts and predictions on this. It'd be pretty interesting, but we're not just doing that just for one team. We're doing it for all 32. So, so y'all might want to stay to the end for this one. But before we get into this one, you already know we got to start off the verse of the day. Today's verse comes from Isaiah 57:15, and it says, "For this is what the high and exalted one says: He who lives forever, whose name is holy, I live in a high place a high and holy place, but also with the one who is contrite and lowly in spirit, to revive the spirit of the lowly and to revive the heart of the contrite." And before we begin, remember to like, subscribe for more NFL content. Without further ado, let's begin the video. Of course, there are some transactions that happen in this off season, and we're gonna get to them by team. But the thing about it is, like, coaching changes, and of course, there are a few that I'm going to talk about, and I thought I had it pulled up. Hold on a second. Um, but I can tell you this, that there's one that I really am looking at, and that's the Patriots with Mike Vrabel. They're a former player, had some success in Tennessee, and of course, we get to see him take over the team, like the team he played for in the NFL. So I really think that, of course, once we talk more into it, um, like, there's really much more to really get into here, because we're going to detail Vrabel and what all the other coaching staff has. So yeah, and of course, we're going to start off with the first one, with the first team, and that's the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are coming off an 8-9 season, and they end up, of course, and they end up, according to the Lindy, and the magazine that I'm using here, it's called Lindy Sports, and there's something that I think that might be worth noting here. There's a segment in here called "On the Hot Seat," and Kyler Murray, the quarterback, is on the hot seat. Would you say? Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would as well. Like, of course, the former number one overall pick. He's shown some promise in, like, his first couple seasons, but then once we see, like, once we get into these last few seasons, he ends up, just not just ends up not progressing really as much as the Cardinals would like. We end up, and on this here on the Lindy's, it says 6 seasons, one playoff appearance, and a rough one at that. This feels like a make or break season for Murray. And I personally think this, that, um, and then, of course, after the Week 11 bye last season, and I'm sorry, this is before the Week 11 bye from last season. He was a 12-3 touchdown to interception ratio 10 games in. And after the Week 11 bye, his interceptions nearly tripled, with 8 to just 9 scores through the air. And like I said, and I'll leave the credit in the description down below. Um, and I really think that, you know, he, this also notes that Murray appeared to take a step forward in coordinator Drew Petzing's offense, but with how much the team invested in the defense and the current win now trajectory the Cardinals are on, the heat's turned up for Murray. And I really think this, that, on to these here, like, I really believe that Murray's got to have a good year this year if he doesn't want to get released or traded. That's just what I think. And the thing about Arizona is, you know, is that I remember when Kyler Murray was drafted, and he ended up having, don't get me wrong, he had some good seasons, but the execution just isn't there. And just wasn't there really. I really think that, of course, if he's gonna this is his the magazine says, it's his make or break season, meaning that he has to of course, what's the word? He trying to think of it. He has to progress well this season. That's what he has to do. If he wants to stay in Arizona, then he's going to have to do so many other things in order to lead this team back in the right direction. And of course, we're talking about some key additions here that's mentioned here. That linebacker Josh Sweat, and then some other additions. You got QB Jacoby Brissett, who veteran quarterback, and so that's really not a bad get for this team. Then you get Calais Campbell. I'm gonna be honest, listening, this guy's been in the league forever, but I still struggle to pronounce his name. And then we have guard and tackle Jake Curhan, linebacker Akeem Davis Gaither, tight end Josiah DeGara, wide receiver Simi Bioko, CB Jalen Jones, guard Royce Newman, and then defensive tackle Dalvin Thompson, and linebacker Michael Walker. And we also have a key loss here. Nose tackle Roy Lopez. And he did leave in free agency after he signed with Detroit, and he started 21 games for Arizona across the 2 seasons. And so I do think that if there is however, there's also a notice here that says, very minimal losses. You got some guys of course, the key addition Josh Sweat coming off the huge game in the Super Bowl win with the Eagles. You got some guys who can help out. So that's really what I think will be interesting for Arizona. But however, and I'm gonna start this little segment here. Are you gonna throw the flag, or are you gonna take it to the house with this claim here? Arizona can make the playoffs. You gonna throw the flag or take it to the house?
Throw the flag. That is not happening.
Exactly.
Kyler Murray is so bad now. They're not making the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to throw the flag on this one, considering the fact that, Arizona, of course, you never know in the NFL, though. The NFL can be unpredictable. But I do think this being Kyler Murray's make or break season, it could be interesting to see how they do, but I'm going to throw the flag on this one. I really do not think that we're going to see Arizona in the playoffs. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. And of course, they got for week 1, they are going to be. Hold on a second. I was just on the page. For week 1, they will be playing Kansas City, and I'm sorry. Hold on. Week 1 at New Orleans. I'm sorry. For some reason, I didn't just mention the. It literally has the preseason games above it. So. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. They're playing at New Orleans, and then of course, they're playing so many other good teams this season. But I do think this: if it's a make or break season for Kyler Murray, how does he handle that pressure? And another thing I want to add before we move on is that Kyler Murray, of course, going 372 out of 541 attempts, and for 3,851 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. So that's really the other thing that, I want to see what he does. So, yeah, but you just never know. So, yeah, and of course, another note, rookie Maserati Marvin, he ends up, getting 8 touchdowns for 62 receptions on 885 yards, and then which now is a 14.3. So, yeah, so I think if Murray can get tuned in, it could be interesting to see what they do. But like I said, I'm going to throw the flag on the playoff claim. So, yeah. All right. Next one we're going to talk about is Atlanta, and hold on, I got to find Atlanta real quick. For some reason, the magazine I'm using, it it's just basically a scavenger hunt for what you're trying to look for. But however, Atlanta really like they, of course, came close to making the playoffs last season, but unfortunately did not happen. Of course, with that loss to the Panthers, and then the Buccaneers went over the Saints. And so you end up seeing more of what the what Atlanta can do. And I personally like this. That, of course, sorry Atlanta fans. Ever since 28-3, they've they've been trying to get back to the Super Bowl, trying to redeem themselves, and then I feel like just something's always happened that makes it go downhill. And and personally, I think that Atlanta was pretty good. Like I said, they were pretty good last season, and then of course they get upset by the Panthers, and then they needed the Buccaneers to lose to the Saints, and with that, you start to see more of and here we are. Like they go 8-9, and then the thing about it is with that they're going to have to figure out a way to get through here. And yeah, so we also see this here. We got Kirk Cousins, like who the quarterback battle and stuff. So yeah. And we also have this on the hot seat, Michael Penix Jr. And you also have I'm sorry, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
All right. And of course, you start to see more of what you got here. Snapshot here on the scouting here. It says Falcon seasons will ride or die with the development of Michael Penix Jr. And I'm going to be honest, that last year when they had hold on a second, hold on. Am I reading the right? Okay, yeah, I am. All right. So with Michael Penix Jr., we start to see like he ends up not really playing that much last season, and they put Kirk Cousins in mostly, and Kirk and on Penix he ends up when he played it was 61 completions on 105 attempts for 775 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So basically 50-50 on that ratio. But the thing about it though is that Atlanta also has like the veteran quarterback in Kirk Cousins, and I think it's likely that Kirk is going to start the season, and that's just what I think. And now with Cousins, of course, being the veteran guy, if they decide to put Penix in, do you think that he can? Do you think that he can, lead the Falcons in the right direction? Like, you gonna throw the flag or take it to the house?
Take it to the house. Just because I think Penix could be the next Matt Ryan for the Falcons.
Yeah, like, I think so as well. Of course, like I feel like that he could be their next franchise QB, but of course, he really needs to. Of course, according to the magazine, he needs to be ready to take a major step in order for the Falcons in their playoff drought. And of course, like I mentioned, the Falcons they desperately want to get back to the playoffs. And then, of course, to the fact that like I mentioned, they were upset by the Panthers last season, and like the other way they could have got it in was basically with a with a Tampa Bay loss, and so because of that, they didn't make the playoffs, and yeah. Now the things we're going to look for though is that a key addition, linebacker Leonard Floyd, and it says here a former top 10 draft pick. Floyd has hit his stride late in his career. He has 48 of his 66.5 sacks over the past 5 seasons, and the Falcons are hoping that he can lead the charge in the pass rush. And I personally think this, that, there's also another thing that I want to mention here, and that's the fact that that a Tennessee guy, of course, being a first-round pick to the team, James Pierce Jr. And I will say this, that I think that was a good get for them in the draft, and I do think, of course, that it'll be interesting to see what he does in the draft. I'm sorry, for the Falcons. So I think it'll be interesting, but I do think this, that if they're going to end their playoff drought, everything has to go right. That's just what I think. Like they can't, like they have to win the games they need to win, and that's just what I think needs to happen with Atlanta. So yeah, so you're going to throw the flag or take it to the house on this one? They will make the playoffs this year.
I'm gonna take it to the house because I believe in this team. I think Kyle Pitts is great. I think Penix could be decent. I think obviously John Roberts presents really good. So given Drake London, he's like one of the most underrated receivers in the league.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest here. Like, I think I'm gonna throw the flag on it. I just think that, of course, that they are in a drought, and after seeing, like, of course, like what they did last season, like they basically, won the games that I'm sorry, they lost the games they needed to win, like they should have won, and they lost the games they shouldn't have lost, and that's the thing that I'm just that I'm just thinking. So that's just what I think. Now it will be interesting because, like I said, on the disclaimer, NFL is unpredictable. You just never know until we get to the season, like on how good each team is going to be. So that's just what I think. But but I would love to see Atlanta back in the playoffs, though. But I just don't think it's going to happen this year. But you just never know. All right. So the next team we're going to talk about, and like I said, we're doing in alphabetical order, is the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens, sorry guys, there we go. And the Ravens, of course, going 13-6 in 2024. And we also take a look at this. Like their roster is pretty stacked in my opinion. The reason why I say that is because you got Lamar Jackson, you got Derrick Henry. You also got I'm sorry, hold on a second. Just trying to figure out who I'm trying to talk about here. You also got, like, of course, you also have veteran Mark Andrews. But before we get to him, though, here's what it says. He's on the hot seat, according to Lindy's. And he says that he experienced the lowest point of his career in the playoff defeat with the lost fumble and the 2-point drop on their final 2 drives. And you remember that game, right?
Yeah.
Like, I bet that one's haunted him so much during the offseason, like so much. And he's entering the final year of his 4-year, $56 million contract. So the thing about it is, can Mark Andrews gain redemption in Baltimore? Can he the Ravens get back to the AFC Championship game that they were at back in 2024? Like, you just never know up until we see what kind of team the Ravens bring and everything. And when we talk about, of course, some key additions here, wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. And now this says the Ravens don't need the 33-year-old to be a star receiver, but he can still make contested catches and win on the outside. And I really think it's this is a good addition for them, not only because it's a key addition, but because DeAndre has proven to be a threat in the downfield. But can DeAndre, the thing about DeAndre though is that can he be dangerous like the way sorry, I'm tripping over my words. Can DeAndre, help reinforce the offensive side? I think so. I think the Ravens, of course, with the fact that you also got like with the mention that we have Mark Andrews in the being the leading receiver last season. You have Derrick Henry leading rusher, and you have Lamar Jackson, of course. And this is what impresses me the most. Here's Lamar Jackson's stats from last season: 316 completions on 474 attempts, and then of course that throwing for 4,172 yards, 41 touchdowns, and get this, 4 interceptions that whole season. And I think Lamar Jackson is, and then of course you also get on his rushing stats, like Lamar Jackson is the kind of guy that can do it on the ground, can do it through the air, and I think of course, the thing about the Ravens is that Lamar can do pretty much anything, and I think he's their go-to guy for everything, and that's just what I think. And on the rushing, you have Derrick Henry, 325 attempts for 1,921 yards, average of 5.9 yards per game, and then 16 touchdowns. And to add to Lamar Jackson, 4 rushing touchdowns as well. So if the Ravens, of course, the Ravens, of course, with the with everything, that's everything. I'm sorry. What? I just stumbled over my words again. I'm so sorry, guys. But I was looking at the wrong thing. Sorry, now the stats are correct. It's just that I was looking at the wrong thing here. The key loss is Justin Tucker. But here's the thing: Tucker, of course, coming off the worst season of his career, but championship contender, replacing the most accurate kicker remains easier said than done. But the thing about Justin Tucker, though, is that, and we're not going to get into this because I don't think we should talk about it on camera. But Justin Tucker had been getting into some issues, basically like accusations and stuff, that, like I said, we're not going to talk about on camera. So, like, unfortunately, like before the season was over, I believe, like I just kind of knew that it was going to happen. Like he was going to get released because of it. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see like what happens, because it'll be the first time in a long time that the Ravens will have a new kicker, and so that's going to be a bit interesting to see, because like, trust me, the most accurate kicker, your franchise kicker, after these past like years, like Tucker's been with the team for like over a decade. So yeah, now it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, but yeah, and so I'm gonna do so for this throw the flag or take it to the house. The Ravens will go to the AFC Championship game this year, or at least make it to the second round.
Let me basically, I'm gonna take it to the house. I think the AFC Championship will come down to the Ravens and Bills.
Yeah, that's what I think. Now, of course, depending on who they're playing, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think I'm going to be with you on this one. I'm going to take it to the house as well. I think we're going to see the Ravens back into that contention, and I do believe that with the Ravens going back, with the Ravens having a veteran group, it'll be interesting to see what they can do. And yeah. All right, and then the next team we got, of course, is the team you just mentioned, the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, of course, that heartbreaking AFC Championship loss to Kansas City. And the Bills basically, and of course, you got Josh Allen. And speaking of Josh Allen, he gets an extension, and so he's going to stick around for a while so Bills fans can rejoice. And then, yeah. Now, we also got, now, of course, in that 29-32 loss against Kansas City, I will say this, that in the regular season, Buffalo became the first team that season to give Kansas City not the first team, was the team to give Kansas City their first loss in the regular season last season. And now, of course, with that heartbreaking loss in the AFC Championship game, and they barely scraped by Baltimore, of course, with that, like we mentioned, the 2-point drop. And then, yeah, the thing about Buffalo, though, is that when I take a look at their margins, though, like most of these victories, like they're pretty close victories. And with the exception, like, like of teams that I'm going to say like were a bit weak last season, of course they beat Seattle 31-10, beat Tennessee 34-10, and beat Miami 31-10, Jacksonville 47-10, and then basically that's really all I'm seeing. And of course they beat San Francisco 35-10, and they beat the Jets 40-14, and then they lost to New England 23-16. So I do think that the Bills, of course, and I'm going to say this, sorry, Bills fans, ever since wide right and going to 4 straight Super Bowls back in the 90s, they've just been struggling to get back to Super Bowl contention. But do I think the Bills have a chance? I would think so. And the thing about it is, for the Bills, you also get some key additions. Say some key additions here. Wide receiver Josh Palmer. You also have defensive end Joey Bosa. And another thing that I want to mention about Bosa is that I think Bosa will help reinforce this defense where it needs it. And I also believe that that, of course, on the Josh Palmer stat here, on the Josh Palmer addition line here, it says he was the only notable addition on offense. And the Bills' passing game needs a true deep threat. And while Palmer is not that, he's a consistent producer who should, of course, gel with Josh Allen, which of course, like I said, like I said already multiple times, I will credit the magazine down below. Yeah. And here are these individual stats here. We got, of course, Josh Allen, 307 completions on 483 attempts for 3,731 yards, 28 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. And then rushing, of course, you have Dalvin Cook, of course, leading the team on 207 attempts for 1,009 yards, average of 4.9 and 16 total touchdowns. And yeah, so I really think that on basically just on these stats alone, because you take a look at the receiving core, but the max touchdowns that anyone got on receiving was 4, basically, just based on these stats. Of course, you got 3 receivers with 4 touchdowns, and the other one with 2, and that's what I want to say. I think that the Bills, they're probably going to rely more on the passing game, but I also think that of course, with that, I think that they're also going to depend on the rushing game as well. So that's just what I think. And now I do believe, like I said, of course, with Joey Bosa, I do believe that he actually will be sorry, what is going through my head today? But with Joey Bosa, I think he's going to reinforce that defense to get where they need to be. And then, of course, another, a key loss, Matt Collins, who was signed last year to be primarily special teams performer, and he actually led the team with 5 touchdown receptions, which, and what I meant by the 4 is like the people who are still with the team. And of course, other losses, you got wide receiver Amari Cooper, cornerback Rasul Douglas, Quentin Morris, Von Miller, and yeah. Now I do also believe that with the Bills, if I said Dalvin Cook, I meant to say James Cook. Sorry, I was just thinking of him for some reason. So that's the other thing that I was one to mention is I think of course on this one that I'm going to do, throwing the flag and take it to the house. Will we see the Bills end the Super Bowl drought? What do you think?
No, take it to the house. I think Josh Allen's the great QB that will carry his team to the Super Bowl this year. Obviously, they came close a couple of times, losing to the Chiefs, but now I don't think but Chiefs will be can be AFC Championship this year. So I have the Bills going.
I'm gonna be honest. I think I'm gonna do this. Like, this might be a hot take, but I think I'm gonna throw the flag because I just think that of course, the Bills, can they get by like whoever they play in the AFC Championship? That's just what I'm thinking. And of course, like we mentioned last, and of course, like you mentioned, like where they lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. You remember 2024, they lost to the Chiefs hosting the Chiefs in the playoffs. You know how they did it? It was the way the Super Bowl curse started, wide right, the two most hated words in Buffalo. So yeah, that's just what I think about the Bills. So yeah, now and before we do this, on the hot seat here in the magazine is Dalton Kincaid. Solid rookie season when he set the Bills rookie record for tight end receptions. He battled a knee injury in 2024. His production dropped off. He also had the misfortune of catching a droppable pass at the end of the AFC Championship game, and game loss. Like the game loss that proved to be Buffalo's final offensive play. He got hurt in Week 10 against the Colts, missed the next 3 games, and was also inactive in Week 18. So, of course, but there is another thing here. He only caught 16 passes for 100 during the injury in the 6 games he played, counting 3 in the postseason. Kincaid only caught about 16 passes for 163 yards and no touchdowns. Healthy again, he's become the difference maker the Bills still believe he can be. I think if Kincaid is healthy, he'll be a force to be reckoned with. That's just what I think. Now, for that, do you think that and another thing I'm going to do is this is like, do you think that Josh Allen can overcome the pressure? And like we already mentioned this earlier, but do you think he can overcome all that pressure, break the curse, and potentially get the Bills their first Lombardi?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so that's all we got for the Bills. Now we're gonna go to the Panthers. Panthers here, of course, there's not much to mention. Like everyone remembers the Bryce Young pick, first round 1 pick, 1 of the draft, and then Bryce ended up just not performing the way that he should have. He's only won 6 games as starter, and given the Panthers did improve last season, it was only by 2 games that they improved by. Like, I'm sorry, 3 games they improved by. Went 5-12, and then with that, you start to see more of can the Panthers get over the hurdle against all these other teams? That's the thing about it. And when we talk about, like we mentioned, Bryce Young, and basically, it's looking like Bryce Young will be the one to lead them this year. And he was even benched last season and everything. Now, the former Heisman winner I don't think has been living up to the hype that was surrounding him. And that's the other thing about it. And now on his career statistics, he has a 26-19 touchdown interception ratio, which is like not really common among the first round quarterbacks, I'm sorry, first pick quarterbacks, I'm sorry. But I do think do you think that Bryce Young will improve?
I think so because he does have new receivers, basically a new team to work with. So I think he'll get people a lot.
All right. And the other thing about it is, is that can Bryce Young, like, of course, on the projected finish, though, projected finish in here is 4th. And I do think, of course, that that the Panthers, and of course, according to Maxine, they do appear to be making the right moves. But I'm gonna start this here. This one here that we got is of course. Do you think that are you gonna throw the flag or take it to the house? The Panthers will be able to make at least will not finish fourth in their division, or will they make the playoffs?
Take it, get to the house. Guy think Phil finish fade. Gonna be Saints finish last.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think that of course, though, now I do not believe they will make the playoffs. Regardless, what I meant by that question was for the guys who might be confused by what I was saying was that they will not finish last in the division. They will improve and a potential playoff. So I'm going to throw the flag on the playoff part, but I do think that take it to the house. In the division placement. That's just what I think. Yeah. So, do you think that another thing? Do you think that Bryce Young, of course, do you think that of course Bryce Young being able, do you think he can finally prove all the doubters wrong this season?
Yeah.
All right. So that's what we're gonna go with. We're gonna go to the next team here, Chicago Bears. The Bears, of course, not really much to say about them. They ended up, of course, I'm sorry, Bears fans. Of course, that play by Williams on Thanksgiving Day, like that one where they just ran out the clock. Yeah. But the other thing about it though is that they were able to beat Green Bay for the first time in 5 seasons, and they also end up going 5-12. And I will say this, that does Chicago improve on this season? Of course, we saw what Caleb Williams did last season as the first overall pick. Not too bad, but I do think, of course, he's going to have to really improve as of course, I just take on the play, on the plays and things like that. On the fact that, of course, like I mentioned, the Thanksgiving Day game where he ran out the clock and not taking a timeout. That's just what I think. I think he needs to be a little bit more aware of what's going on around them. That's just what I think. And on the hot seat here is DeAndre Swift. He lost a good number of carries when Ben Johnson became Chicago's head coach. Based on the pass scared in Detroit, he'll still need to produce with fewer opportunities or expect to lose a job with the Bears. In the last 2 seasons, he had 482 carries, but only 364 with the Lions in 3 seasons. And, the two-back approach is what Johnson wants to use, and Swift's speed back might not be quite fast enough for Johnson's attack. So, I really think that, Keelan, this is how much the Bears would get in total salary cap savings. $6.2 million just by releasing DeAndre. And here's what I think. I think for DeAndre, if he's going to get, if he doesn't want to leave Chicago, he's going to have to, he is going to have to prove that he's worthy of staying. And all right, this one here is going to be a bit of a fun one. Are you gonna throw the flag or take it to the house? The Bears will beat the Packers in both matchups this season.
Throw the flag.
All right. I'm sorry. That was probably too easy, not only because I'm a Packers fan, but because what do you think about at least one of the matchups?
No, there's Green Bay is going to be really good this season. So I think they blow out the Bears in both matchups.
Same here. Yeah. And next one we got is the Bengals. And of course, you remember the Bengals, of course, being the team to beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, from a couple seasons ago, and they go to the Rams. So they play the Rams in the Super Bowl, and of course, they all know how that went. The closest they've been to a Lombardi Trophy, and it just didn't happen for them. Now the Bengals, of course, they had an off season really, and I do think, of course, that with the Bengals, can they can the Bengals? Sorry, guys. Can the Bengals get back into the contention that they were a couple seasons ago? Well, let me tell you this: you got Joe Burrow, you got T. Higgins, like Jamar Chase, and everything. So, yeah, that's the thing about it. With the Bengals, they will be they will be on over here sorry. They of course after going hold on a second, where's the page at? There we go. Man, these pages like to hide from me for some reason. They went 9-8 last season, and of course with that, like we also see like T. Higgins in receiving, like the two dynamic duos on the receiving core, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, combined touchdowns in those total 27 touchdowns. With Jamar Chase receiving 17 and T. Higgins receiving 10. And I think Burrow, of course, he's going to continue to improve. And here are his numbers from last season: 460 completions on 652 attempts, for 4,918 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. And I think that the Bengals are a team that should not be not be counted out. And on my throw the flag and take it to the house on this question, I think I'm going to go with take it to the house on the Bengals potentially going back to the AFC Championship game. I'm going to take it to the house.
I'm a for the flag. I
What's
think
that?
I'm a for the flag. I think they'll make it to the divisional round.
Yeah. But the thing about Cincinnati though is you don't know what kind of team they bring into each game, and that's just what I think. So that's why I said take it to the house. So that's just what I put there. And all right, guys, we're gonna try to speed this along here, because we've already been recording for like 42 minutes. We've only got through 7 teams, so that's why we're not. That's why we're gonna just be moving on here. And the next one, we have the Cleveland Browns, of course, in a quarterback situation. Of course, they go 3-14 last season, and of course, with that, there's also Deshaun Watson there. You got, hold on a second. And of course, you got Joe Flacco now, a veteran quarterback, Kenny Pickett, and someone that you also got here that fell to the 5th round, who was thought to be in the 1st round, Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to be honest here, and I'm not saying this to be mean or anything, but I do not believe that Shedeur, just seeing him play at Colorado, I just don't think Shadeur's the guy. I just think that of course, with all the amount of talent that's on this team. Now they did go 3-14, but the thing about it is, excuse me, thing about those that you have Joe Flacco and everything. You also have Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel. So basically, the Browns also basically drafted like a bunch of quarterbacks this year. So yeah, they also drafted. They also got some running backs. They got Quinshawn Judkins, Jerome Ford, Dylan Sampson, and Pierre Strong Jr. And the thing about it is, is that we take a look at, Judkins, of course, with Ohio State win the national championship. I think that, of course, I think that this could be their guy. That's just what I think. And on addition here, they used the 5th pick in the 2025 draft on Mason Graham, and we briefly covered that in the NFL draft video. I think he can, of course. I think that of course, with Mason Graham, I think he, like I mentioned earlier, he can strengthen that the defense. He can stop the run and everything. So that's just what I think. I believe that's a good pick for them. And all right, I'm going to say this here. Throw the flag or take it to the house. Will the Browns be able to shock everybody this season by making the playoffs?
Throw the flag for the house, for the money, for everything. They are not making the playoffs. They have no quarterback, no receivers, no defense, no running back. Hell, their running back got arrested. They are not making the playoffs. No,
Exactly what I was about to say. Exactly what I was about to say. Like, I'm just trying to make sure like on these questions, like the reason why I say that is because most of these are like playoff related questions because there are some years where we have teams that shock us and I'm gonna throw the flag way far. Like heck, I'll throw it all the way I'll throw it all the way down to up to Canada if I need to. Um like I think that Cleveland, if they can, if unless they end up shocking the world, I'm throwing that thing up to Canada. That's just what I'm doing. Um, so yeah, I also believe that, of course. Now we just never know until the season starts, but heck, throw that flag to Canada. All right, next one we got is the Cowboys. And of course, I'm going to say this. We only have like a few months before GTA 6 comes out. So it's their last chance to say this. We seriously got the Cowboys winning a Super Bowl before GTA 6. I'm going to be honest. That ain't happening this year. So I'm going to go ahead before we do this. I'm going to throw the flag on that one. Like, they are not winning no Super Bowl. But it would be amazing if they actually did. Then I could actually say this. I could actually say, we actually got the Dallas Cowboys winning the Super Bowl before GTA 6. So like, that would just be pretty funny. But I really think that the Cowboys they've not been in the Super Bowl since the 90s. So it's been like nearly 3 decades. So it's been 3 decades since they last been to one. So yeah. And the thing about Dallas is that can Dallas can Dallas, get over the hump this season? We'll have to see what happens here, and I'm still trying to look for him. Man, all right, I have to say, this magazine is really trying to make me do a scavenger hunt, like mid-recording, guys. So I'm just so sorry. Um, but with the fact that of course, Dallas, like, what do you think about them from last season? Because, like I said, I was covering like some high school football and college football, so I really didn't really watch too much NFL last season, but like I did, but like so that's why I'm really gonna ask you this here.
hey, now I don't think they'll be a playoff caliber team this year.
Same here. Well, that's just what I think. But the thing about it is, well, I'm gonna mention it one more time just so we can have a clip or something. Uh, if we get the Dallas Cowboys winning the Super Bowl, I'm actually gonna make a clip saying we got the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl before GTA 6. Come on, Rockstar. That's just exactly what I would say. But I do think this that with Dallas, I just do not think that they're playoff contenders. I just don't believe so. I do not believe the Cowboys are going to make it to the playoffs. And I hate to say, Cowboys fans, another year will go by where y'all unfortunately will not have another Lombardi, unfortunately. But like I said, you just never know. It may shock the world, but I just think it's a long haul from. I just think it's a long haul from here. So that's just what I think. And Max, I'm just curious here. On the Cowboys, hold on a second, man. I'll tell you what, man. This is literally they're making me really do a scavenger hunt here. Like I've been looking for the same page for like the last few minutes, and I still can't find it. um, yeah. So, please tell me this is it here. Come on, man. I really don't have to want to skip this segment without mentioning their key returners here. All right, I'm on the right page now. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord. um, but the thing about the Cowboys is that of course the Cowboys are gonna have some good, gonna have a key addition on George Pickens. He finally proved to be like I'm sorry, and he's a downfield threat and a perfect complement to CeeDee Lamb while giving Dak Prescott another like option for receiver. Um, and I think this though that I do not think that like just based on this, I think Prescott had kind of a down year. They have hold on a second. Man, guys, sorry. That's all I said. This thing keeps on doing a scavenger hunt on me. Um, hold on. They end up, having now of course they do get Joe Milton from New England, and you also get Will Grier at quarterback. So, like, what do you think?
Uh, so I think Joe Milton did a pretty good ad for the Cowboys. Obviously, we got to see what he can do week 18 last year. So I think he'll be a solid QB for them.
Same here. And also he can also learn under Dak as well. And I think that of course, with Milton only being on his second season, I think that of course, well, I think of course that with Milton, he I think he's gonna be interesting to see what he can do. Like if they end up, if he ends up playing. So that's just what I think. But hey, uh, all right, just so we can have this, take it to the house or throw the flag. The Cowboys will win the Super Bowl, so they could say they've done it before GTA 6.
Take that flag and send it gunning rocket to Jupiter. That is never happening.
Exactly here, bro. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Although it would be funny just that they did it and then they say, "Hey, we actually did something before GTA 6." Yeah. All right, the next one we got is the Broncos. And like I said, guys, we're gonna only be doing brief now because we've been recording for nearly an hour. On the Broncos, what we got here is, of course, the last time the Broncos like won the Super Bowl, was back when they had Peyton Manning, and that ended up being Peyton's last game. So that's the thing about it. And what do you think about Denver, like heading into this season?
Uh, Obviously, last year, Bo Nix sucked everyone when he took that team to the playoffs. So I think he can do it again this year.
Exactly, and that's what I also think. Of course, now of course it was a game where the Chiefs rest their starters, but they ended up blowing out the Chiefs, and that's the thing I want to mention. You know, they're able to blow out the Chiefs without their starters, and we'll get to that when we get to Kansas City. But do you think that the Broncos under Bo Nix, do you think that they can be like contenders in their division?
Yeah.
Exactly what I think as well. So I'm going to see this though here. Throw the flag or take it to the house. Bo Nix will become the franchise QB.
Take it to the house.
I'm gonna actually agree with you on that one. Like I'm impressed more like what he does, what he's done, of course, by leading them to the playoffs and everything. I think it's gonna be interesting. Let's um let's just wait and see in this season. All right, that's what we got. Max, it's your team, the Detroit Lions. Of course, the Lions. Of course, they were doing. They made it to the divisional round where they were upset by the Commanders. Um, but what do you think about the Lions this year?
I think will be a Super Bowl contender. Our team hasn't really changed outside of Ben Johnson leaving. And I think our defensive coordinator also left, if I'm not mistaken. But obviously we have Dan Campbell as our head coach, so as long as we have him, we will be good.
Yeah, and the thing about it is is that you remember the Lions making it to the NFC Championship game in 2024. They looked like they were gonna apparently do. I'm sorry, they looked like they were gonna try to go to their first Super Bowl in franchise history. Of course, where the 49ers had to spoil the party, and then of course, personally, in my opinion, like don't get me wrong, the 49ers Chiefs Super Bowl game was very entertaining, but I think it would have been interesting to see what the Lions could have done, and if they went to the Super Bowl.
Now remember, Gilly the bad year, week 1, we beat the Chiefs, get Arrowhead.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about it though is that for Detroit, they're an exciting team to watch, and even as me as a Packers fan, I'm excited to watch this team. I think, of course, they're going to be really big contenders heading into the playoffs, and for this one here, do you think the Lions for the throw the flag or take it to the house? Do you think that the Lions will get to the Super Bowl for the first time in franchise history and win it?
Yeah, take it to the house. Now,
You know,
winning it, guys don't think because obviously the Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs, but I think we have the best shot to make the Super Bowl.
tell you what, it hurts to say this as a Packers fan, but take it to the house. I think that I think that the Lions, honestly, they're continuing to prove everybody wrong season after season after season. And I want to see this team in the Super Bowl. So I'm going to take it to the house. Now I think I'm going to leave a toss up on the win the Super Bowl, but I'm going to take it to the house here. And yeah, so that's all I got for Detroit. And next team here, my team, Green Bay. Of course, with Green Bay, they make it to the wild card round last season. Where they lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion Philadelphia. Um, and I will say this that for Green Bay, if they're like, of course, Jordan Love has been proving me wrong year after year after year. But I think this that with that fact is that can Matt LaFleur help lead this team to getting back to where it was when he had Aaron Rodgers as QB? And that's the thing about it. And he's actually on the hot seat on the magazine here. He actually says this. He led the Packers to the NFC Championship game in his first 2 seasons, but was 1-3 in the postseason since. He struggled with clock management, challenge flags, and his own emotions. So, thing about it is though, is that I think LaFleur, don't get me wrong, he was good when he had Aaron Rodgers, but I think adjusting to this new era is something that I just think about. You know, like Green Bay, of course, when they went to the NFC Championship games, they could not get by whoever was they play. And I believe the last one they went to was, I think it was against the Buccaneers. I think it's been a while, but they lost that game under a controversial decision to kick it when they shouldn't have kicked it because there was not enough time to get the ball back and get down the field like that. So yeah, but I'm gonna say this that before I appreciate everything he's done for Green Bay, but I feel like if he doesn't get them past the playoffs or anything, I think he's going to be gone. That's just what I think. Um, but so for this one here, I think you already heard my answer on this one. Uh, throw the flag or take it to the house. The Packers will have a new coach next season or in the season after next.
For the flag.
Yeah, of course, I'm kind of different between it, but I think this, Green Bay, of course, with it being Title Town for a reason, with it being called Title Town, Green Bay is going to have to prove that they can. LaFleur's going to have to prove that he can lead them to the championship, the NFC Championship, and potentially the Super Bowl. That's just what's going to have to change. All right. Next one we got is the Texans, and I will say this: Houston did pretty good last season, and as I'm still trying to get to the AFC South here, I really think that, of course, the Texans they're going to be an interesting team to watch. So, what do you think about Houston, like from what you saw last season?
Well, obviously Stroud hit that sophomore slump, so if he can get back to his rookie shape, I think they'll make the playoffs.
Exactly what I think as well. Now, I do believe that with Houston, though, like they're projected to they are projected to be they are projected to finish first in the division, but there's also another thing about this. Um, the Texans have significantly improved over the past 2 seasons, and I think that's another shining light. And I personally think that the Texans can make the playoffs, but it depends on like how can like do you think that Houston will be able to like if they do everything right? Do you think that do you think that the Texans could potentially be Super Bowl contenders?
Uh, I think so.
Same here for me, but we just never know. So yeah. All right, next one we got is the Colts, and the Colts are actually projected to finish third in the division. Um, and the last time they made the playoffs was in 2020 on the wild card. And there's also another thing here. On the hot seat, Anthony Richardson. The thing about it is, I really believe that Anthony Richardson is the guy who is. I just don't think he was the guy for the Colts to begin with. Now he was drafted in the first round a couple years ago, but he has not shown that he is the starter in my opinion. Like, of course, here are his stats here from last season: 126 completions on 264 attempts for 1,814 yards. Let me do the math real quick on that. Um, I do think this on this fact that with Richardson, it's I just don't think he's their guy. That's just what I think. I think they're gonna have to pursue a new quarterback or something because well, I just do not believe Anthony Richardson is living up to the hype. And of course, these numbers are not that great. Like he only completed 47% of his passes last season. So yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the Colts need a new quarterback.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I'm gonna go with here. So that's the other thing. So what do you So there's also another thing that I want to say is like, do you think that the Colts, um, like, sorry, do you think that the Colts will get that new quarterback either in the draft, free agency, or trade? What do you think?
I think they'll trade for a quarterback.
That's what I kind of think will happen as well because I just think it's pretty clear Richardson just isn't the guy. So yeah. And all right, the next team we got is it's the Jaguars. And of course, they're projected to finish second in the AFC South, um, and they're coming off a 4-13 season. And the thing about it is, can can Trevor Lawrence be the Trevor Lawrence that we saw at college? You know, because really Trevor's career was kind of lackluster, um, like so far. But there's also another thing here too. Um, we have a key addition here, and one that we actually want to talk about. It was a trade um, in the draft to take Travis Hunter from Colorado, Heisman winner and everything. So, what do you think about Travis Hunter here? Like, I know we briefly talked about in the Heisman video. I personally believe that Travis Hunter can be a big addition for this team, but I really think that it depends on what position he plays because he played two positions in college. So, what do you think?
Uh, I, I think he has like the best shot to win Rookie of the Year if he plays ball gun either way.
That's exactly what I think. Um, but what do you think Travis is like? Do you think Travis would be better as a wide receiver or a cornerback for this team?
Uh, I say corner because on the offense they have Brian Thomas, who is obviously one of the top young prospects right now.
That's exactly what I think as well. So, yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see what the Jaguars do, but I would expect to see him on the for the playing corner. So that's just what I think. All right. Next thing we got here, next team we got is the Kansas City Chiefs. And there's really not much to say except for the fact that the Eagles pretty much mercy ruled them at the Super Bowl, and and it was pretty shocking in my opinion. Um, and the Chiefs are thinking like they'll be back, they'll be back, and I personally think this: if the Chiefs are going to make it back, then I think that because I know the Eagles figured out something that the Chiefs did that the other teams didn't. So I believe that I believe that the Chiefs are going to make it back. They're going to have to, really turn things around. So that's just what I think as well. Like, what do you think about the Chiefs? Of course, like they still have Mahomes, still got Kelsey. What do you think?
Uh, I think a divisional team at best.
Hmm. And that's also what I think. But but the fact is that with Kansas City getting getting a embarrassed in the Super Bowl basically. Um what do you think about like of course, do you think that the Chiefs uh do you think the Chiefs that if they can figure everything out, do you believe that they can win this thing or do you think that that it's going to be another team to figure them out?
It's gonna be a team that figures them out.
Yeah, but what team would you think that'd be? Like the Bills or the Ravens or any other team?
I think the Bills, since they have more experience playing them in big games.
Exactly what I think as well. So yeah. And all right, next one we're going to talk about is the Raiders, and of course it's a new team, new start. You got Seahawks legend Pete Carroll coaching them. Um, so what do you think about like Vegas right now? Like, what do you think about like? Do you think that they'll improve?
It's hard to say because obviously they have gas to now be best running back from the draft, but I don't know because the Raiders have been good in a long time.
Same here. And of course, in Vegas, I personally believe that of course, on the hot seat is actually one of their coaches on the defensive coordinator. I personally think that if the Raiders are going to do something, now's the time to do it because I personally believe that they can potentially win the. I'm sorry, I think they could potentially shock some people, but I do not believe that they will be in playoff contention. So I'm going to throw the flag on that one.
Yeah, same here. I'm for the flag.
Mm. And the next one we got is the Rams, and that's what we want to talk about. Like one, when I was searching up the biggest transactions in the offseason, this one came up here, and that's Devontae Adams, of course, being traded up there. And I think this after seeing Devontae in Green Bay, like he's a big downfield threat. So that's just what I think. Um, one big threat down the field. And I think the Rams, of course, I believe that the Rams have a chance to make the playoffs again. So, what do you think about that?
Uh, I think they'll make the playoffs again. Just
Mhm.
because I think Stafford still has like at least one more year left in him. to make the playoffs can be a good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, he has been known to be one-dimensional with receivers, but now with the this and with Adams, he can now sort it up.
Same here. And personally, also the Rams, of course, winning their first Super Bowl since 2000 a couple seasons ago against the Bengals, and what I have to say was a very entertaining game. And then, of course, after that game, I believe Aaron Donald announced his retirement. I believe after that game.
That was I think that was the season after.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, sorry. Sorry. Like I said, it's just been a long time. A lot of football's been played. Sometimes it's a little memory. But yeah. So, but do you think that the Rams can potentially? Oh, we skipped over the Chargers, but it's okay. But for the Rams, I do think that that the Rams can they find their next Aaron Donald? That's just what I think. I'm going to throw the flag on that one.
Yeah, same.
On the next team that we skipped, sorry Chargers fans, is y'all's team. Of course, 2024 they went 11-7, and the other thing about it is like, what do you think about like like the Chargers? Like, of course, they make the wild card and everything, so that's the thing about it, And also, their player on the hot seat, believe it or not, actually retired, Mike Williams. So, yeah. So, what do you think about this season for this team?
So I think that this season's kind of uncertain since Jim Harbaugh did get dropped in the new Michigan lawsuit, not affiliated with the season scandal, but if he's clear, I think this team can be a dark horse in the playoffs.
That's what I think as well. And of course, they also have some help at running back with in Najee Harris. So that's the other thing that they can use as well. So that's what I think. All right. Anything you want to add on the Chargers? All right. Next team we got is the Dolphins, and the Dolphins, of course, they're kind of a team that I like to call a hit or miss team. Like, like they can have some good games, but it's the games like that they're supposed to win that they win. I'm sorry, the games that like it's basically just kind of toss up every game for them, basically. Um, but what do you think about Miami, of course, with Tua and them? Like, do you think that Miami can be playoff contenders this year? Like, what do you think about that?
Only give to is healthy.
I'm sorry, repeat that there.
Only give Tua is healthy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think as well. Um, but don't get me wrong, Tua's been doing a lot for Miami, and I really believe that that I would love to see Miami go to a Super Bowl. That's just what I think. But here's the thing, though, like they also have of course well, they also have of course like they went 8-9 in 2024, and they end up of course ended up having one of the fastest guys on the like on the team on the hot seat, Tyreek Hill. Of course, Tyreek. Of course, Tyreek. What do you think about the? Do you think that he'll stay in Miami, or do you think that he'll seek a new team?
I think he'll seek a new team.
Exactly what I think. As well, I really think that, of course, you remember when he went to Miami from Kansas City a few years ago. I just think that Tyreek doesn't really. Well, I just think that we still don't really hear too much about Tyreek anymore. Like what I mean by that is like we don't really think about the fact that we don't really feel like really think of him as with the Dolphins as we did with the Chiefs. Like that's just what I mean about that. So what do you think? Um, you're gonna throw the flag, or or take it to the house, the Dolphins will make the playoffs this year.
Guy, if Tua is healthy, they make the playoffs.
Exactly what I think as well. So, yeah. All right. Next one we got is the Vikings, and of course the Vikings. They've actually been pretty competitive these last couple seasons. And what do you think about heading into this season? Of course, you got JJ McCarthy healthy. If you like, I think we're going to see some JJ McCarthy action this season. So, what do you think about JJ? Do you think that he'll be able to potentially prove that he's worthy of being their QB?
Yeah.
Of course, the he was injured last season, so you have Sam Darnold do it. He goes 35 and 12. On his touchdowns and interceptions, and of course they lose to the Rams in the wild card, basically. So yeah, that's just what I think. And so I just say, of course, can JJ prove that he's the quarterback for this franchise? That's just one thing that I want to see for the Vikings. But I don't know. I think it's still going to be the same kind of thing for the Vikings. Like they can finish wherever, but they're projected to finish second. Do you think that they make the playoffs again?
Yeah.
That's what I think as well. So yeah. All right. Let's move on here. We got the Patriots, of course, like I mentioned with Mike Vrabel coming over there. Of course, the Patriots have not really been all too well, except like especially after Brady,
Yeah.
And Gronk. So, what I believe about the Patriots is that can Vrabel lead them in the right direction? And do you think he'll be there long term?
I think so.
Yeah, but the question is though, can Vrabel get this team to the Super Bowl? I'm gonna throw the flag on that. I just don't think so. It's gonna happen this first season. I don't think so.
Yeah, for the flag.
Yeah, so that's really what I think as well. So let's move on to the next team here. We got the Saints. Of course, Saints going 5-12 last season. And the Saints have really also kind of fallen downhill as well. So I'm going to say this, that I do not believe that they are going to be I don't think they're going to be making the playoffs this year either.
Yeah.
And all right, next team we got is the Giants. Giants, of course, they've been struggling a little bit. They've been struggling. So it's like I say, I don't really watch too much of the NFL last season, but I do think, of course, the Giants, they just haven't been the same these past few years. So what do you think about the Giants, Max?
Obviously, they come in to the season with two new quarterbacks. Obviously, Russell Wilson, the former Super Bowl champion, and then Jackson Dart, the quarterback from Ole Miss. So I think both of those quarterbacks will be good for them.
Exactly, and now I think Russell Wilson, he brings veteran experience, but I think that of course, if I'm the Giants, I want to see what Jackson Dart. I want to have Wilson mentor Jackson Dart. That's just what I think. And so I think it's going to be see if the Giants can get back into playoff contention. So that's going to be the interesting thing for me. All right, next one we got is the New York Jets. And this one here, we've seen a bunch of controversy, of course. I'm sorry, not controversy, but of course, the Jets no longer have Aaron Rodgers after he was released. And I have to say, in my opinion, and I'm not saying this I think that was probably the worst trade ever. Aaron Rodgers, of course, going to the Jets, and then he ends up getting injured on his first ever drive with the team. That's just what makes that's just why I think why I'd say he's the worst trade that I've seen in a while. And he ends up getting released the next season, and they end up basically, like I said, they basically just don't have Like they basically have Justin Fields at quarterback, and the thing about Fields is that Fields is on his third team, and he was drafted in 2021 in the first round. And what do you think about Fields? Do you think that they'll just have to? Do you think that Fields will not last long in New York? Take to the house or throw the flag?
Take to the house.
Is that what I think? Because Fields has not been the same. This is not like he did not live up to the hype at all coming from college to the NFL. I think that he'll probably have to find another job. I think on the in the league. That's what I think. All right, next one we got is the defending Super Bowl champion, the Philadelphia Eagles, win their second Lombardi in franchise history, dethroning the Chiefs. Of course, they're stacked. They got Jalen Hurts, Saquon, and good receivers. What do you think about them? Do you think that they have a chance to go back to back as Super Bowl champions?
I don't think so.
And I can see of course, there's a thing called championship hangover where teams who win championships end up not doing as good the next season. So that's the thing about it. I think it'll be interesting. I think there'll still be a playoff bound team. Don't get me wrong on that. But I do not believe that they'll advance to the Super Bowl. That's just what I think. So yeah. But it'll be interesting to see what Hurts and Barkley can do. Like personally, I would love to see them win another Super Bowl, like go back to back. But I just don't think it's going to happen this time.
Yeah.
So yeah. And all right, the next one we got is Pittsburgh, and this is the one that we wanted to talk about. Of course, the Steelers, of course, getting Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers basically said this is likely his final season in the league. But for Pittsburgh, do you think that also I'm trying to find the page again. Do you think that Pittsburgh has a opportunity to I'm sorry, not opportunity. You think that Pittsburgh can get back to where they were a couple of seasons ago?
A few seasons ago. This year, I don't think they will.
Same here. Of course, they also get Aaron Rodgers, the veteran guy. But what do you think about the fact that what do you think about the fact that with Aaron Rodgers, of course you had Justin Fields and then you had Russell Wilson. What are you thinking on the quarterback? Do you think Aaron Rodgers will be the guy for them?
I don't
Same
think
here. That's exactly what I think as well. So, I think Pittsburgh's still going to be struggling a bit. So that's just what I think. Now I did make the wild card last season, but I do not believe that it will. That this season will be a good season for them. Now I did get DK Metcalf, but I still think that I still don't think that really changed anything for me. So yeah. Next time we got is the 49ers, and of course 49ers coming off a down year, not winning a lot of games. So tell me about the 49ers, Max. What do you think on the what do you think about them? Do you think that that they can get back to where they were by going to the NFC Championship game?
I don't think so.
Exactly what I think. I think that that the 49ers, of course, having these struggles, I think that, of course, it's going to be another difficult season. And I do think this, that, of course, with the, with Brock Purdy, I think that he's going to have to step up his game. If he wants to prove that he's still Mr. Relevant, he's going to have to step up his game for the team. And that's just what I think. All right, the next one we got is Seattle Seahawks. And for Seattle, they're projected to finish 4th, even though they went 10-7 last season. Missed the playoffs. And what do you think about the Seahawks here? Of course, not been the same ever since, now they had a good season. They have a key addition, Sam Darnold, but their key loss is DK Metcalf. And of course, another loss, Tyler Lockett. QB Geno Smith. What do you think about them?
No, I think they'll have a decent season.
Yeah, and now of course I think it's gonna be interesting because you're gonna probably have Sam Darnold at QB, and Sam Darnold ended up like I really think that of course uh, they're hoping for the Sam Darnold from last season, but do we think we get that? I'm gonna throw the flag on it. That's just what I think.
Yes, same. Basically, how he played like in the playoffs. I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
I don't think so either. All right, the next one we got is the Buccaneers. Of course, remember like the Buccaneers making the playoffs last season. Um, what do you think about Tampa Bay this season? Like, do you like their odds of making it to the playoffs again?
Yeah, obviously this was the late great Hulk Hogan's favorite team, so I hope they make the playoffs for him.
Yeah. But I also think that you remember Tampa Bay, like they ended up winning. Believe it or not, this is probably a forgotten Super Bowl, but it was the '03 Super Bowl where they beat the Raiders for their first Super Bowl win in franchise history. Last time I went to the Super Bowl, they had Brady and Gronk, and they win the Super Bowl, and they basically blow out the Chiefs that game. And I remember that game like it was yesterday. So yeah. Uh, but do I think that of course, the days of like I really think that do you think that the Buccaneers have a chance to? Do you think the Buccaneers have a chance to get back to where they were with Brady and Gronk? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'll be so easy.
Mm. All right, the next one we have here is the Titans, our second to last team, and this is one that I've been wanting to talk about. Of course, you got a new quarterback, Cam Ward. You got Tyler Lockett at receiver. You got so many of these guys here. But what do you think about this? Like, I believe that Cam Ward is going to be their do you think he's going to be their franchise quarterback, or do you think that like throw the flag or take it to the house? What do you think? Franchise quarterback Cam Ward?
Now, now historically, Tennessee has not found the franchise guys since Steve McNair.
Yeah.
The,
Now, of course, they end up
the
Well, I think
last
you remember. Sorry to interrupt, I think I remember the last time I think they drafted a quarterback first round. You know what happened to that guy? Jake Locker ended up, retiring because of injuries. And of course, they end up in 2023. They take Will Levis, and I have to say, I'm not trying to bash on Will or anything, but I hated that pick for them because I did not think that Will Levis was as good as like people said he was. And
and
we take a
now
look at the
obviously he's out for the season.
Yeah. And so I think it was going to be, I think it was just going to be a matter of time anyway. I think that, of course, taking Cam Ward. Now, I do think, of course, Cam Ward is slightly overrated, slightly. Um, but I do think that he can, like change my mind on it if he proves like what I think he needs to prove. Um, Heck, the Titans haven't made the playoffs since 2021, and that was a wild card playoff. Um, so I'm gonna be honest, like it was a horrible season last season, but the Titans, do you think they can make it back? I'm
No,
gonna throw the flag.
damn, I drink the Kool Aid. I think we do.
Really?
Yeah. Can if they don't, mark my words, go for go to Nissan Stadium for a clown wig. Can
Oh my
can
gosh!
take a picture if they don't make the playoffs.
I it looks like I gotta clip that on the YouTube Shorts now. All right. Yeah. So I think it's gonna be interesting, but yeah. So yeah, but I kind of hope they make playoffs because no offense, I don't think I don't think you want to wear that clown wig. Yeah.
I'll
All right.
get my Will Levis jersey too.
Dude, come on. Like I kind of like I did something I didn't ever do. Like I basically did I basically was criticizing him on the channel, and then you gonna make him do that, and you gonna do that. All right, and then the last thing we got is the Commanders, and in my opinion, the Commanders, I think it's going to be another long season for them. That's just what I think. Of course, they did make it to the NFC Championship game last season, but I think you remember how that one went. They lost 55-23. And in my opinion, they got lucky a bit. Of course, they beat Tampa Bay 23-20. They beat Detroit 45-31 in that upset, and they lose to Philadelphia. So do you think that the Commanders have a chance to go back to the NFC Championship? What do you think? I'm going to throw the flag.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, I feel like last year it was just an upset. I just think the Lions, of course, they ended up, not, that just was not the way they played all season, in my opinion, against the Commanders. So, yeah.
And I don't think Ben Johnson was really trying that much.
Exactly what I think as well. So, yeah. And all right. So we've finished all the teams here. Anything you want to add? Then all right, that's gonna do it for tonight's video. Once again, guys, thanks for watching. Remember, we are still a bit learning on this, so that's the thing about it. And we do plan on covering a little bit of NFL this fall. So if you like this video, tell us what games are you looking forward to. And like I said, just to reiterate, we are still learning a little bit. We're expanding our coverage, so we can't wait to see you this fall. And with all being said, peace out, God bless, and have a good night.